how to open up a Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab server. It's important that you follow the previous instructional videos before you try to attempt this, because we're essentially combining a variety of different things into one big operation. Now, the best way to open up a Jupyter Notebook server or a Jupyter Lab server is to use the command line interface that you've used to install the Conda environment, and any other ways that you've interacted with Anaconda. So assuming that we've done that, we've set up Anaconda, we've downloaded all of that, we've set up our Conda environment, then what we would do is we would open up our Anaconda prompt if we're on Windows, our terminal window if we're on macOS or Linux. We would then navigate to the project folder that we would like to use as the starting folder for our Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab server. Generally speaking, this would be the folder where your project is located. So let's say in this case that we would like to move to the F Limburg Python master folder. Then what we would do is we would follow the instructions from the change directory video. Now we are in this folder. And now what we need to do is we need to make sure that we are in the correct Conda environment. Because if we're not in the correct Conda environment, then we're going to open up the Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook server using the wrong packages. So let's say that we want to open up or activate the Conda Limburg Python environment. Then what we would do is we would follow those steps. Type Conda, activate, and then the name of the environment that you would like to use. In this case, Limburg Python. Now, if all of that went well, we should see it reflected here that says that we're in the Limburg Python Conda environment. It shows here that we're in the F Limburg Python master folder. And now if we want to start the Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab, we will either type Jupyter Notebook if we would like to open the Jupyter Notebook, or type Jupyter Lab if we would like to open the Jupyter Lab. I recommend that you generally use the Jupyter Lab. So you use that, we press this. It will take a second to open. And now we are inside the Jupyter Lab environment, or if you would have opened the Jupyter Notebook, you're going to be seeing the Jupyter Notebook. Now, two things that are worth mentioning. One, now you do need to keep your command prompt or this specific command prompt or terminal window open, because this command prompt is currently running the Jupyter server. And the Jupyter server is what makes everything work, and it will communicate with the Python kernel. So you need to make sure that this is running. As soon as you close this off, then it's going to be gone and you can no longer use your Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook environment. So we need to keep this running. So we just minimize this. And then it will automatically open up the Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook in your default browser. My default browser is Chrome, so that's what it did. And more importantly, if we look in the command prompt window, we can see here the exact address that we need to put into our browser if we were to want to open this after we close it by accident. So in this case, it's running on HTTP localhost 8888 as the port. And then it will also show us a token after that particular address. Consider that token to be the password. This is just for safety reason that if you try to open it by just going to localhost on a browser that you've never used before, it's going to tell you what is the password. You can find the password right here. It's just this token, or you can just copy this entire string here, copy that into your favorite browser, and it should just allow you through without asking you for a password. We can interact with our code right here. And then when we would like to close this Jupyter server, then all we need to do is we go back to our terminal window and we press Control or Command if you're on Windows or if you're on Mac. And then you click Control C. And then you wait a moment. In this case, it's going to start to shut down. If you're impatient like me, then what you can also do is you just click Control C again. And that will kind of force it to interrupt. And then you see here, it says interrupted, shutting down all the different kernels. We're back to our command line interface. And you can see here that we now get a server connection error because we closed down the Jupyter server. Alternatively, you could also just click away the command prompt or terminal window that is running the Jupyter server. That will also shut everything down. The only reason why I would generally recommend to use the Control or Command C method is that it will try to shut down and save any of the open notebooks just in case you haven't saved them anytime recently. Whereas if you were to just shut down the command prompt or terminal window, it is literally just going to shut down and any unsaved work is going to be gone. So make sure that you kind of keep that in mind.